All right, so just to give you a little bit of context before going forward with this video, in this video, I'm going to be covering how you can actually import contacts as well as importing identifiers. So this is particularly useful if you're migrating from an existing loyalty system, for example, or if you want to use some different kind of unique identifiers, such as a license plate or just a string of numbers or letters to identify your customers as opposed to using an email address. So if that's not something you need, you can skip this video if you don't see yourself needing to import any contacts or identifiers. But for the people who are interested, I'm going to jump into it right now. So we're still here on the contacts page, which you can find as the first item under CRM. And you're going to see that you have an import button here in the top right-hand corner. Now, if you are only importing contacts, you can follow these steps. But equally, if you are actually importing some unique identifiers that you would like to assign to contacts, you must first actually make sure that you import those contacts and first set their email as a unique identifier. And then afterwards, you can import those identifiers and assign them to the different customers. So in order to do that, you need to make sure that you actually have the email address as well as the unique identifier in one CSV file when you're importing those identifiers. But I'm now just going to start off with importing actually a list of contacts. So once you hit import, you'll be prompted to upload your file, which I have here. You're going to get an overview of your file there. So I'm importing 30 customers or 30 contacts. So I have 30 rows and the 3 columns are their email address and first and last name. You're then going to go through to the next step where you have an overview of everything. And this is where you assign the values within the file to custom attributes in the Leat dashboard. So we're going to assign first name to first name. And you can go to skip if empty here because they are new customers. We're going to hit assign. Then the same for last name. We're going to assign that to last name. And then you have email address, and you can see here based on this warning that that's an essential aspect to continue and actually save this import. So we're going to assign email address to email. Now we're all good to go, so we can click on to the next step. And here's where you see an overview of these subscriptions. So you can make sure that everybody is subscribed or unsubscribed from marketing and the Leat Academy content, for example. As I previously explained when you were doing the settings lesson, it's not possible that you unsubscribe people from functional emails, so don't be surprised if you don't see that here. I'm going to keep everybody subscribed to these 2 subscription types, and then I'm going to go through to the next step. I'm just going to change the name of this import slightly and call it a contact import existing members. You can then change your date notation if you would like to. You can see you have the file name from your system as well as an overview of the columns and numbers of rows. And if you'd like to, you can select to receive a notification once this import is complete. Then you're going to hit import once you've configured everything. And now it's going to take just a few seconds to update, but all of those contacts will now be enrolled into your database. So as you can see, my database is already updated from close to 50 to over 60. And if I refresh now, there should be even more. So I now have all 80 customers in my contact database now. And all of them already have unique identifiers, which is their email. However, if you want to actually assign some additional identifiers, what you can do is go to the CRM aspect of your navigation, and we're going to click identifiers here. And now you have the option again to hit import in the top right-hand corner. If you want to add an identifier for just an individual contact, you can also do that. So you're going to give it a name and say identifier number 1 for this example. And the value is where you actually enter the unique identifier. So let's say 100897, for example, is the unique number you want to assign to that customer. And then you select the email for the customer in question. Once you've done that, you can hit submit, and then that customer will actually have 2 unique identifiers. So you can use either their email or this value that we've just configured now. However, it's obviously more efficient if you can import all of those contact identifiers at once. So let me show you how you can do that quickly. We're going to hit import. And as I mentioned, you want to make sure that you have a file here that has both the emails of the customers whose identifier you want to update, as well as the identifier that you want to assign to them. So the type of import here is identifiers, and we're going to say create new identifiers for existing contacts. I'm going to create new identifiers for that set of 30 contacts that I just imported. We're going to hit continue, and then we're going to upload our file. And this file is the same as the one I actually previously uploaded, but I've just added the unique identifier column. So you can see I have a fourth column instead of having just 3, which I had previously. I'm going to go through to the next step now, which is where we assign all of those data to attributes again. So we do not need to import first name because we've already done that. So I can hit do not import. Same goes for last name. And now for email address, I'm going to assign that to the email address of the contact and hit assign. And the unique ID, we can select identifier value here and hit assign. And now when you scroll down to the bottom, you can click next step. You're going to get an overview of this again. So I'm going to say contact identifier import existing members. And again, you have your overview of the number of columns here. So it's now 2 because I chose not to import first name or last name. And we have the number of rows here. So I'm going to hit import. That's been successfully done. And now if you go to any of those contacts that I just imported, so let's say, for example, if I take this particular contact, which was part of the import, I'm just going to hit refresh to make sure that it's been updated. And then if I go to identifiers on the left-hand side here, you can see that I have this identifier which has been activated. If you need to, you can also look up this customer based on their email address, which will always be unique to them. But we now have this unique value, which is their default identifier within your system. So we've imported some contacts successfully, and we've also imported some unique identifiers for them in case we don't want to use email address, for example. So that's really, really easily done. And now in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can actually create and customize your sign-up form. So that's going to be the first point of contact for all of those customers that you're not importing, and they're all your new loyalty members that are going to go through this form. And then I'm also going to show you how they can receive their wallet pass once they've submitted that form.